What's up, guys? I'm here with my 2021 Kia Seltos. I love the car. It's been great so far. It was in an accident on the opposite side, and I didn't think the radiator was bad, but I think it just got tweaked a little bit in the accident. I'm going to replace it today. I can't really blame the car for having a bad radiator because it was in an accident. But the good thing about this car is that it's super easy to replace the radiator. In about 30 minutes, I'm in this situation and the radiator is ready to come out. As you can see, I did not disassemble the front of the car. It's not needed. And by the way, if you're going to take this thing out, it's super sensitive. You do not want to pull on this thing. So it's better just to leave it in place. So this is really thin plastic. If you try to pull on it a little bit, you're just going to warp it because the clips are right here in the middle, and any kind of tugging is going to make this all wavy. So believe me, this is the second one I've had, and even this one is a little bit wavy because I think I had to take it off as well. Most of the work on this was done on the top of the engine, which makes it super easy. I did have to remove the belly pan. And to remove the belly pan, you just need a 10mm socket wrench and the clips. So the belly pan comes out really easy, and then you want to start draining the fluid from the radiator. The petcock or the radiator valve is on the driver's side of the radiator. It's kind of hard to see from the bottom, but it's in there. You got to kind of reach up there and loosen it up. It's hard to break it free, but once it's moving, it turns really easy. You can also reach that valve probably easier from the top, but you do have to remove everything from the top to get to it a little bit easier. Now everything here, guys, is the way I'm working on it. You can see I haven't removed a huge amount of stuff. The air cleaner is still there. Also, you will need to take off the hood latch. I almost forgot to mention, you do have to remove the fan shroud before taking out the radiator. And there are 2 bolts here on top. And then on the bottom, it just slides in place. So this as well is super easy to remove. And it's a little bit tight getting it out because it does like to hit this vacuum device. But you can squeeze it out with no problem. But let me just show you what I removed from the top of the engine. Of course, this is the air intake. There's 2 clips on top, and then this whole thing just pulls right out. And I also removed this from the top. 2 10mm bolts from the top, and then you have your hose clamps, and that assembly comes out of the way. I'd say about 6 inches down, you're going to see these radiator clamps on both sides of the radiator. If you get these out of the way, the radiator is free to move for the most part. Now the way it gets tricky is that the condenser is still clipped onto the radiator. Get your headlight on, it really comes in handy. Right here you can see there's a couple clips. In my situation, I'm going to replace the radiator. I could have broken the clips. In fact, I tried, but the plastic was a little bit too difficult for me to break it. But what I ended up doing was opening the clip and then raising the condenser a little bit to remove it from the clip. Now there's one on each side. Now here you can see the second one. This is the condenser. The shiny metal is inside of the black plastic. So you have to open that up. And then here, it's really convenient because you have the condenser hoses right here. You can just lift up on the hoses and that'll remove the condenser from the clip. You can see it moving right there. It's already ready to come out. It's unclipped. At this point, I'm still waiting for the radiator to drain. And then I'm going to remove the transmission lines. And then once that coolant is removed from the bottom, I'm going to start removing the lines for the transmission, because the transmission lines also connect to the radiator, and I don't want any oil to get into my water or my coolant. You can see how pink my radiator is. I don't really see where it was damaged. There is a dent right here, but I can't really tell if that's the primary spot for the damage. You see that it's just really pink everywhere. I disconnected the hoses for the transmission. You see there's one here and there's one here that's gone. And instead of plugging up the hoses themselves, what I did was I just tucked them under the air cleaner assembly. So I raised them up. I raised them up so they wouldn't drip out, and they're being held right now just by the air cleaner assembly. Pretty convenient, not too complicated. And you can see down here, not much is coming out of the radiator, but I will go ahead and find some new fluid to top off the transmission. With everything disconnected from the radiator, now it can tilt forward, and there is another clip on the bottom connecting the condenser to the radiator. So by tilting it forward, I should be able to have enough room to disconnect everything. I'm going to tilt it forward and slide the radiator down slightly and then all the way up. Okay, I released the clips. Both lower clips are now disconnected. You might be able to see it down there. Let me get my light on it. There it is. And the other side, easy to see that one, it's disconnected. So this should just come right out. I do have the hose over here. It's still connected and it's in the way slightly. All right, we're looking good. There we go, guys. Radiator is out. It's pretty easy. I still don't see any damage to the front. All right, here we are, guys. Radiator's here. I'm gonna get this lower hose on here first. And there is a paint mark which lines up with a piece of plastic on the radiator. But don't drop your radiator hose. Okay, I got my lower radiator hose on there already, and I'm going to try to send this down. Pretty easy. Just going to move the hose over slightly. Alright, this is probably the tricky part. I have the radiator in place, but I have to clip it to the condenser. And then once those are together, I'm going to get the pins on the bottom of the radiator into the radiator support. Let's see. I'm lifting the condenser here, trying to get it in place. There we go, one-handed. There it is, one hand. It's in place, but it's not really all the way down yet, so I'm gonna start working on the other side. And then once I get the other side in, it should fall in place on this side. And all four clips are in place. So now I need to get the spikes or the holders on the bottom of the radiator into the radiator support. That's it, guys. It's in place. Now I need to just bolt everything back together. The hardware, the hoses. I'm going to attach my fan connector just need to attach the 2 bolts which connect the fan shroud to the radiator. Now I'm going to connect the upper radiator hose adapter. These are the long bolts. They go through the grommets. The easiest way to put on the hood latch is to do the cable first. I'm going to put in the ball end of it and then stretch the cable over and try to snap it in place. I'm just using the pliers as leverage. There we go, that's in place. Oh, and don't forget your radiator overflow hose. Here's the intake. There it is, guys. The radiator is in place. The only thing I have to do now is refill my fluids. I did lose a little bit of transmission fluid. You can see there's just a little bit of residue on the paper towel there. Not much. I'm sure there's just a little bit more in the radiator. Okay guys, I got something really important. This is like the second or third TYC radiator I've received, and I put them in all my cars and I've never had a problem. With this one radiator, I am having a problem with it. I want to show you guys what's going on. If you look at the hose clamp, you can see this blue line right here. The manufacturer put that on, and it was straight with the original radiator. And because it's not straight now, that tells me that the hose bib on the new radiator, on the TYC radiator, is actually smaller than stock. And you can see my coolant is dripping out even though I have the hose clamp on it. Not good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try this radiator, but I'm gonna replace the hose clamps with the old traditional screw type clamping mechanism and see if I can tighten them up a little bit. I'm not comfortable with it, but at this point I really don't want to take all this apart again, even though it was pretty easy. I don't want to take it apart again just to you know, get those hose clamps secured. And here's the radiator that I bought. I bought the TYC 13862 from Rock Auto. Normally they give really good customer service and a good product at Rock Auto, but in this occasion I can't really speak for that. So you can see here 2021 Kia Soul 2.0, and it's supposed to fit the Kia Seltos as well. So just to recap, it took me about an hour to take out the radiator. I waited about 2 days to receive the radiator from Rock Auto, and then I put the new one in about an hour as well. I want to show you guys the tools that I used. I had a 10mm socket with a few small extensions, channel locks, a Phillips screwdriver, a regular screwdriver, and some pliers to get off the hose clamps. With the new radiator, everything runs like it should. However, it is wintertime in Ohio. The highest temperatures I've seen with the new radiator is about 50 degrees. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your repairs.